You ever work alone at night? I mean really alone. When everyone else is sleeping safe in their beds, and you're the only one awake, the only one working, the only one there. Let me tell you something. The world is different at night. Things happen that don't make sense. Things you can't explain to anyone because they'll think you're crazy. But you're not crazy. You know what you saw. You know what happened. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 5 true stories. Real stories from real people who worked the night shift. And what they experienced changed them forever. These aren't fake stories. These aren't made up. These things actually happened. Let's begin. Story 1. The Man at the Gas Station. This story comes from a guy named Marcus. He's a regular guy, 22 years old, trying to save money for college. He needed a job that paid well, and the night shift at a gas station seemed perfect. More money, less customers, easy work. The gas station was in Nevada, middle of nowhere. You know the type. One of those lonely places on the highway where truckers stop for coffee and gas. During the day, maybe 10 or 15 people come through. But at night, sometimes nobody comes for hours. Marcus didn't mind. He liked the quiet. He'd stock shelves, clean the floors, watch videos on his phone. Simple job. Easy money. But then October 23rd happened. He remembers the exact date. 1 week before Halloween. That's the night everything changed. The shift started normal. A few customers came and went. Some truckers, a lady buying scratch tickets. Nothing weird. Just another boring night. Then midnight hit. And that's when Marcus heard the bell. You know that little bell above the door? The one that rings when someone walks in. It rang clear as day. Ding dong. Someone just walked into the store. Marcus looked up from the candy aisle. He called out, like he always does. "Welcome. Let me know if you need help." His voice echoed in the empty store. But here's the thing. Nobody answered. No footsteps. No sounds. Nothing. Marcus walked to the front counter. He looked around. The parking lot was completely empty. Not a single car. Not a single person. Just empty pavement under the fluorescent lights. Okay, Marcus thought. Maybe the wind pushed the door. Even though there was no wind that night. Not even a breeze. But he went back to work anyway. 5 minutes later, the bell rang again. Ding dong. This time, Marcus ran to the front. He got there in like 3 seconds. But again, nothing. Nobody there. Empty store. Empty parking lot. But here's what made his blood run cold. The door was completely closed. You see, that door was heavy. Real heavy. When someone opened it, it took a few seconds to swing shut. But Marcus got to the front in 3 seconds, and the door was already closed tight. That's impossible. The door couldn't close that fast. Unless nobody opened it at all. Marcus felt his heart beating faster. He checked the security cameras. He rewound the footage to the exact moment the bell rang. And what he saw made no sense. On the video, the door never opened. It stayed shut, but the bell rang anyway. Just rang on its own. Like invisible hands were pushing it. Marcus tried to calm down. Maybe the bell was broken. Maybe it was malfunctioning. Old building, old equipment. That had to be it. He'd tell his manager in the morning. He went back to stocking shelves. But now, everything felt different. The aisles seemed darker, longer. The shadows in the corners seemed to move. That's when he heard the footsteps, heavy boots, on the tile floor. Walking slowly through the store, thump, thump, someone was definitely in the store. Walking through the aisles. Coming closer. Marcus grabbed his flashlight. His hands were shaking. He yelled out, "Is anyone there?" His voice cracked a little dot. The footsteps stopped. Marcus walked through the aisles. First aisle, nothing. Second aisle, empty. Third aisle, nobody. He checked every single aisle. Nobody was there. The store was completely empty, but then the footsteps started again. Right behind him, Marcus spun around so fast he almost fell over. Nothing, nobody, empty air. But he could still hear them, those heavy boots walking on the tile. And they were getting closer. Coming right at him. He ran to the front counter. He pulled up all 6 security cameras on the monitor. 6 different angles showing the whole store. And on every single camera, he was alone. Totally alone. But the footsteps kept coming. He could hear them clear as day. Walking down aisle for now. Slowly, deliberately, heading straight for the front counter. Straight for him, the footsteps stopped right in front of the counter. Right where a customer would stand to pay. Then the temperature dropped. Marcus could suddenly see his breath. Little clouds of fog coming out of his mouth. Like he was standing in a freezer. The air was ice cold. And then he heard a voice. A man's voice. Rough and low. Right in front of him. So close he should be able to touch the person. The voice said one word. Cigarettes. Marcus screamed. He actually screamed out loud. His voice echoed in the empty store. But he looked at the camera monitor, and there was nobody there. The space in front of him was empty. Just empty air. But that voice had been right there, inches from his face. He could feel where the breath should have been. Marcus was frozen. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. Then the voice spoke again, louder this time. Cigarettes. Now, Marcus's hands moved without him thinking, like his body was on autopilot. He reached behind him and grabbed a pack of Marlboro Reds, red box. He held them out into the empty space. The pack was ripped from his hand, yanked away by something he couldn't see. Marcus watched in total horror as the cigarette pack floated in the air, just hung there for a second. Then it vanished, disappeared into nothing. The footsteps started again, walking away from the counter, walking toward the door. Marcus heard the bell ring as the invisible customer left. Ding dong. Marcus stood there shaking, his whole body trembling. He couldn't move for at least 5 minutes, maybe 10. He just stood there, staring at nothing. Finally, he checked the security footage again. He had to see it, had to know what the cameras recorded. On the video, Marcus saw himself reach out with the cigarette pack, saw it leave his hand. But on camera, he didn't hand it to empty air. On camera, he handed it to someone standing right there. But Marcus couldn't see who. The camera showed the pack moving away, held by invisible hands, carried by someone who wasn't there. The pack floated through the closed door, passed right through the glass like it was air, and disappeared outside. Marcus couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his jacket and his keys. He left a note for his manager saying he had an emergency. He walked out of that gas station and never went back, not even to get his last paycheck. He never worked there again. But Marcus had to know. He couldn't just leave it alone. So, a few days later, he called his old manager, asked some careful questions about the store, about anything weird happening there. That's when his manager told him something that made Marcus go completely cold. 3 years ago, a man died in that parking lot. Heart attack. He pulled into the gas station late at night, got out of his truck, started walking toward the store. He wanted to buy cigarettes, but he collapsed before he got to the door. Fell right there on the pavement, dead. The paramedics said he was dead before he hit the ground. Nothing anyone could have done. Marcus asked what brand of cigarettes the man smoked, even though he already knew the answer. Marlboro Reds, red box. Same ones Marcus had handed to the invisible customer. That man died just feet from the door, just feet from getting what he came for. And apparently, 3 years later, he still didn't know he was dead. Still trying to buy his cigarettes? Still finishing his last errand. Marcus never worked another night shift. He got a day job at a restaurant. Less money, but he didn't care. And he never touches cigarettes. Won't even walk past someone smoking, because now he knows the truth. Sometimes the dead don't know they're dead. Sometimes they just keep doing what they were doing, over and over, forever trying to finish that one last thing. Story 2, Room 304. This next story is from a nurse. Her name is Sarah. She's worked in hospitals for 8 years. She's seen a lot. Death is part of her job. She's watched patients pass away. She's held their hands. She's comforted families. Death doesn't scare her anymore. It's just part of life. Or at least, that's what she thought before Room 304. Sarah works at a hospital in Pennsylvania. Small town, bold building. The hospital was built way back in the 1920s. Almost 100 years old. Long hallways, high ceilings, that old hospital smell that never goes away. Sarah worked the night shift on the 3rd floor. That's where they keep long-term patients. People who need care but aren't dying right away. People who might be there for weeks or months. During the day, the floor is busy. Doctors making rounds. Families visiting. Other nurses working. But at night, it's just Sarah, her and the patients, and the sound of machines beeping. Room 3-4 had been empty for 3 weeks. The last patient there was, an old man named Walter. Nice guy, always polite, always said thank you when Sarah checked on him. He died in his sleep one night, peaceful, no pain. Sarah found him in the morning. She held his cold hand and said a little prayer. Then she called the doctor. The room got cleaned out. Fresh sheets, sanitized, ready for a new patient. But for some reason, nobody got assigned to room 304. Administration kept saying they'd fill it soon. But weeks went by and the room stayed empty. Sarah should have known something was wrong. It started small. Sarah would walk past room 3-4 during her rounds, and she'd hear noises, a cough from inside, the sound of sheets rustling, the creak of the bed like someone was moving around. The first few times, Sarah figured the sounds were coming from other rooms. Old buildings do that. Sounds travel through walls and vents. But one night, she heard something that made her stop dead in her tracks. The call button. That little button patients press when they need help. The one that lights up a panel at the nurse's station. The one that makes a chime sound. Room 304's light came on. Ding. The red light above the door glowed bright. Sarah looked down the hallway. The door to 3-4 was closed. The room was dark. But someone had pressed the call button. Someone inside wanted help. Sarah walked to the room. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet hallway. She pushed the door open slowly. The room was dark, except for the parking lot lights coming through the window. The bed was empty, made up tight with clean white sheets. The chair in the corner was empty. Everything was exactly how it should be, but it was freezing cold. Way too cold. Sarah looked at the thermostat on the wall. 72 degrees, normal temperature. But she could see her breath. Little clouds of fog coming out of her mouth. The room felt like a freezer. She checked the air vents. Maybe the AC was broken, blasting cold air for some reason. But the vents were fine. Normal airflow, normal temperature. That's when she heard the voice. Weak, tired, coming from the bed. Nurse. Sarah's heart stopped. She turned to look at the bed. Still empty. The sheets hadn't moved. Nobody was there. But that voice had been so clear, so real, like someone lying in bed calling for help. Hello, Sarah whispered. Her professional calm was gone now. She was scared, nurse, the voice said again. I don't feel well. Sarah knew that voice. She recognized it instantly. Walter, the patient who died 3 weeks ago. She'd heard that voice so many times. Always polite, always kind, but Walter was dead. She'd seen his body, watched them take him away. Walter, Sarah heard herself say. She immediately regretted it. My chest hurts, the voice said. Please, I need help. Sarah wanted to run. Every part of her body screamed at her to get out of that room. But she's a nurse. When a patient calls for help, you help them. Even if that patient is impossible. She took a step closer to the bed. Her hand was shaking. And then she saw it. The blanket pressed down in the middle. Like someone was lying there. An invisible weight making a clear shape in the bed. The pillow compressed, showing the outline of a head. She could see exactly where a body would be, but there was nothing there. Just the shape, the impression, the ghost of someone who should be there. But WASN, single quotes, tears running down her face. Now, you passed away 3 weeks ago. You're gone. The shape in the bed moved. Like someone sitting up, passed away. The voice sounded confused. But I'm right here. I can feel the bed. I can feel the cold. Why won't you help me? Sarah backed toward the door. Her hand found the door handle. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry, Walter. She ran out of the room and slammed the door. She stood in the hallway, gasping for air. Her heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Her hands were shaking. She felt like she was going to pass out. Then every call button on the floor lit up at once. Every single room. Ding, 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 ding. All down the line. All the red lights glowing. All the chimes ringing together in this horrible chorus. But Sarah knew most of those rooms had patients who were asleep, sedated, unable to press their buttons. Yet every light was on. Every patient supposedly calling for help at the exact same time. Then the doors started opening, one by one. Slowly. Room 301, room 302, room 303, room 304, room 305, all the way down the hall. Just swinging open on their own, nobody pushing them. Just opening into the dark hallway. Sarah ran to the nurse's station. She grabbed the phone and called security, called her supervisor. She was almost screaming into the phone. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong on the 3rd floor. You need to come now. Security came running. 2 guards she knew well. Big guys, tough guys. They'd never seen Sarah like this. She was always calm, always in control. They checked every room, all of them, together. Sarah refused to go anywhere near room 304 alone. Every room was fine. Patients sleeping peacefully. Doors closed. Call buttons off. Everything looked completely normal. The guards looked at Sarah like maybe she was losing it. Maybe she needed to go home, get some rest. But when they got to room 304, one of the guards stopped. He held up his hand. "You guys feel that?" he asked, the cold. All 3 of them felt it, that unnatural, freezing cold pouring out of the room. The guard pushed the door open slowly. The bed was empty, like before, but they all saw it, the impression, the clear shape of a person lying in the bed, the weight pressing down on the mattress, the head on the pillow. And then they heard it, all 3 of them at the same time, breathing, slow, labored, like someone struggling to breathe, like someone dying. They backed out of the room fast, closed the door. One of the guards called the hospital administrator at home, middle of the night. This was serious enough to wake up the boss. The next morning, a priest came. They brought in a priest to bless the room. He said prayers, sprinkled holy water, did the whole blessing ceremony. The hospital also checked their records, old files, going back decades. What they found was disturbing. Room 34 had a history. Over 30 years, 7 patients had died in that room. Different causes, different times. But all of them died in that exact bed. And after every single death, nurses reported the same things. Call buttons ringing, cold air, the voice of the deceased patient asking for help. Walter was just the most recent, the 7th person to die there, the 7th person to get stuck. After that, the hospital closed room 304 permanently. They didn't want to, but they had no choice. They turned it into a supply closet, filled it with shelves of bandages and sheets and medical supplies, but the night shift nurses know better. They still hear it sometimes when they walk past. The call button, ding, and that weak voice forever asking for help. "Nurse, I don't feel well." Sarah transferred to day shift after that. She still works at the same hospital, but she won't go to the 3rd floor after dark. Won't even take the stairs that lead up there. And she definitely won't go anywhere near that supply closet, because some patients don't understand they can leave. They're trapped in their final moments, replaying them over and over, forever calling for help that can never come, forever waiting for someone to save them. Story 3, AISLE 47. This story comes from a guy named David, security guard. He worked at a huge warehouse in Ohio. When I say huge, I mean massive. Over 500,000 square feet. That's like 10 football fields under one roof. Rows and rows of shelves stacked 40 feet high. Products everywhere. So big you could get lost in there. During the day, 200 people worked there. Forklifts driving around, workers picking orders, managers yelling. Organized chaos. But at night, after everyone went home, the warehouse was empty. Totally empty except for one person. Walk the warehouse. Make sure nobody broke in. Check all the doors. Make sure nothing was stolen. Standard security work. He'd worked there for 8 months. Easy job, good pay. Nothing ever happened until aisle 47. Aisle 47 was way in the back corner, the oldest part of the warehouse. They stored overstock, stuff that didn't sell fast, products that just sat on shelves for months. Most of the day shift workers never even went back there, too far, too out of the way. David would walk through it once a night during his rounds, check it off his list, move on, no big deal. But then aisle 47 started changing. The first thing David noticed was the temperature. Aisle 47 was always cold. Not just cool, freezing cold. His breath would fog up when he walked through it, like walking into a refrigerator. He reported it to maintenance. They checked it out and said everything was fine. The heating system worked perfectly. No reason for that aisle to be cold. Every single night, freezing cold. Then came the sounds. David would be walking his rounds, his footsteps echoing in the huge, empty space, and he'd hear scratching, long, slow scratching sounds, like nails on metal, coming from somewhere in aisle 47. It made his teeth hurt, made his skin crawl. He'd shine his flashlight down the aisle, between the tall shelves, through the shadows. Nothing there, just boxes sitting on shelves. Everything normal, but the scratching continued. Every night, same sound, same location. Then, one night, David saw the footprints. He was walking through aisle 47, like usual. His flashlight beams swept across the floor, and he stopped, just froze in place. Footprints, dirty footprints, on the concrete floor, leading deeper into the aisle, fresh, still wet-looking. But here's the thing. The warehouse floor was sealed concrete, smooth, polished. You didn't leave footprints on it, not like this. These looked like someone walked through mud, then walked into the warehouse, tracking dirt everywhere. David's hand went to his radio. He was about to call the police, report an intruder. Someone was in the warehouse, someone who shouldn't be there. But then he looked closer at the footprints. Really looked at them. They were wrong. The shape was like human feet, 2 feet, walking. But they were too long, too narrow. And the toes, there were too many toes. 6 on each foot, maybe 7. They kind of blended together, hard to count, and the stride was wrong. The way they walked, the feet pointed in a weird direction, an angle that human feet couldn't bend to, like whatever made them walked sideways, or backwards, or in some way that wasn't natural. David felt sick. His stomach twisted. He backed away from the footprints, backed out of aisle 47. He decided to finish his other rounds first, come back later, maybe with backup, maybe in daylight. But when he came back an hour later, the footprints were gone, completely gone. The floor was clean, dry, like they'd never been there. David tried to convince himself he imagined it. Lack of sleep, too much caffeine, mind playing tricks. But he knew what he saw. Those footprints were real. The next night was worse. David was in the break room, eating his midnight meal, a sandwich and some chips, just sitting there scrolling through his phone. Then he heard it crash, the sound of boxes falling, loud, coming from the warehouse floor. David grabbed his flashlight and radio, ran out to check. He knew where the sound came from. Deep down, he already knew. Aisle 47. When he got there, he couldn't believe what he saw. Boxers everywhere, torn open. Products scattered across the floor. Ripped cardboard. Packing material. It looked like a tornado hit, like someone went crazy, throwing things. destroying everything. But the security system didn't go off. No alarms, no alerts, nothing. David radioed the camera monitoring station. They watched all the cameras 24/7 from a separate building. They should have seen this. Should have called him. David, this is monitoring. What's wrong? Check aisle 47, David said, his voice shaking. Someone destroyed it. Boxes everywhere. There was a pause. Then the camera operator came back on. David, I'm looking at aisle 47 right now. It looks completely normal. All the boxes are stacked. Nothing's out of place. David looked around at the destruction. Boxes torn open. Products on the floor. The mess was everywhere. He could touch it, could smell it. That's impossible, he said. I'm standing right here, looking right at it. I don't know what to tell you, man. The camera shows everything is fine. Are you feeling okay? David hung up. He pulled out his phone, took pictures, lots of pictures. He needed proof, evidence that he wasn't crazy, that this was real. Then he started cleaning up, picking up boxes, reorganizing, putting things back on shelves. That's when he heard the breathing, heavy, wet, like lungs full of water, struggling to breathe. It came from deeper in the aisle. From the darkness past his flashlight, David froze, couldn't move. The breathing continued. In, out, slow, deliberate. Who's there? David called out, trying to sound tough, trying to sound brave. But his voice cracked. The breathing stopped. Then footsteps. Those wrong footsteps. Too many toes. Wrong angle. Walking toward him. Getting closer, David ran. He dropped his flashlight. Dropped everything. Just ran. Sprinted out of aisle 47, through the warehouse, to the front office. He locked the door behind him. His heart pounding. His hands shaking. He called his supervisor. Right then. Middle of the night. He quit over the phone. Told them he wasn't coming back to mail his check. He was done. But before he left, he made himself look at the pictures on his phone. The ones he took of the destroyed aisle. He needed to know. Needed proof. He opened his photo gallery. Scrolled to the new pictures. His blood went cold. The pictures showed aisle 47. Completely normal. Clean. Organized. Boxes stacked perfectly. No mess. No destruction. Just like the camera operator said. But in the last picture, the one looking deeper into the aisle, there was something in the background. Something in the darkness. Just barely visible. A figure. Tall. Way too tall. With arms and legs that bent wrong. Joints in places humans don't have joints. And a face. If you could call it a face. Watching the camera. Watching him. David deleted all the pictures. Deleted them immediately. Then he drove home. Packed a bag and left town. Moved 3 states away. Got a new job. Day shift. Small office. Lots of windows. Lots of people around. He never talked about it. Not for years. Finally shared it online anonymously. Just to get it off his chest. But other guards came forward. Other people who worked at that warehouse. They all had stories about aisle 47. All from night shift. And they all quit suddenly. Without explanation, the warehouse still operates. Still hires night security. But now they work in pairs. Never alone. And there's a policy. If a guard reports anything weird in aisle 47, they can skip it. No questions asked. Just avoid it for the night because something lives in aisle 47. something that shouldn't exist, something wrong, and it's still there, waiting in the darkness, breathing, watching, waiting for the next person to walk down that aisle alone. Story 4, the 13th floor. This story comes from a woman named Jennifer. She worked in downtown Chicago. Big office building, 20 stories tall, glass and steel, modern. Hundreds of people worked there during the day. Jennifer's company had a huge deadline. They needed people to work extra hours, process data, enter information. They asked for volunteers to work night shift. The pay was double, time and a half plus night differential. Good money. Jennifer needed the money, so she volunteered. She'd work from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m., alone on the 9th floor. Just her and a computer. Simple data entry. Easy work. The first few nights were fine. Little creepy, being alone on an empty floor, but nothing scary. Security guards did their rounds. The lights stayed on. Jennifer listened to music, drank coffee, typed away. On the 4th night, Jennifer decided to take her break somewhere different. She'd been stuck on the 9th floor for hours, needed a change of scenery. She remembered the 15th floor had a nice break room, big windows, good view of the city. She'd been there for meetings during the day. She took the elevator, pressed the button for 15. The elevator rose. The display counted up 9, 10, 11, 12. Then it stopped at 13. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Jennifer stared, confused. The building didn't have a 13th floor. It was one of those superstition things. The elevator went from 12 straight to 14, skipped 13. Lots of buildings do that, but the display clearly showed 13, and the doors were open. Jennifer looked out at the hallway. It looked normal. Same beige walls, same carpet, same fluorescent lights, just like every other floor, but something felt wrong. Off. The hallway seemed too long, longer than it should be. The building wasn't that wide, but this hallway stretched far, really far, like it went on forever. And the silence, complete silence. No hum of air conditioning, no distant traffic noise, nothing. Like the hallway swallowed all sound. Floor 13. The elevator announced cheerfully. Going up. Jennifer pressed the closed door button. Fast. The doors started sliding shut. But just before they closed, she saw something at the end of the hall. Far away, a figure. Someone in a dark suit, standing perfectly still. Facing her direction, the doors closed. The elevator continued up to 15. Jennifer stepped out. Her heart was racing. She went to the break room, but couldn't relax, couldn't enjoy the view. She kept thinking about that hallway, that figure. It was just a glitch, a malfunction with the elevator display. And the person she saw was probably just a reflection, or her imagination. Had to be. After 20 minutes, she decided to go back to work, back to the 9th floor. She pressed the call button. The elevator arrived. She stepped in and pressed 9. The elevator went down. 15, 14. Then it stopped at 13. No, Jennifer whispered. She pressed the close door button over and over, jabbing it. But the doors opened. The same hallway, the same impossible length. But this time there were more people, dozens of them, all wearing dark suits, all standing at different spots down the hallway, different distances, all facing the elevator, all facing her. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. They just stood there, staring, Then they all took one step forward at the same time. Perfectly synchronized, Jennifer screamed. She pressed every button on the elevator panel. Every single floor, the alarm, everything. Her fingers slipping, hands shaking. The doors finally started to close. Slowly, too slowly, but just before they shut, the closest figure spoke. Its voice was horrible. Multiple voices, all talking at once. Men, women, young, old, all overlapping. Join us. Stay on 13. The doors closed. The elevator dropped. Jennifer was sobbing, gasping, her back pressed against the elevator wall. The display counted down. 12, 11, 10, 9. The doors opened on 9, her floor. Safety. Jennifer ran, grabbed her purse from her desk, ran to the stairwell, down 9 flights of stairs. Didn't stop until she burst into the lobby. The security guard looked up, startled. "Ma'am, you okay?" "The elevator," Jennifer gasped. "Floor 13. There are people there." The guard looked confused. "Ma'am, there is no 13th floor." "I know," Jennifer almost screamed. "But the elevator went there. I saw them." The guard called for backup. 2 more guards came. They all took the elevator together, rode it up and down, 1 through 20, then back down, over and over. The elevator never stopped at 13. The display went from 12 straight to 14, just like it was supposed to. No 13th floor existed, but Jennifer knows what she saw. And she wasn't the only one. After she posted her story online, 3 other people responded. 3 other employees from that same building. All of them worked night shift at different times. All of them took the elevator to floor 13. All of them saw the people in the hallway, and one person said something that made Jennifer feel sick. One of the figures in the hallway was someone she recognized. A woman who used to work in the building. A woman who jumped from the roof 2 years ago, killed herself. She was wearing the same outfit she died in. Jennifer quit immediately. Called in sick the rest of the week. Then sent an email resignation. She refused to go back. Not even to get her stuff from her desk. Told them to trash it, but Jennifer couldn't let it go. She researched the building, old records, newspaper archives, and she found something. During construction in 1985, there was an accident. An elevator shaft collapsed. 13 workers died, fell 13 stories. The company covered it up, paid settlements to families, buried the story. The building was redesigned. No 13th floor. Skip straight from 12 to 14. Pretend that floor never existed. But you can't just erase a floor. The space still exists. When you skip from 12 to 14, where does 13 go? It has to go somewhere. It goes somewhere else. Somewhere wrong. Somewhere in between. And those 13 workers who died, they're still there. Still working. Still trapped on the floor that doesn't exist. Waiting for someone to join them. Jennifer moved to a different city. New job, she takes stairs now, always. Doesn't matter how high. She walked 20 flights if she has to, because she knows the 13th floor is real. And if you find yourself there, if those doors open and you see that hallway and those people in suits, don't step out. Don't listen when they ask you to stay. Just press every button, pray the doors close, and never take that elevator again. Story 5. The Mall That Never Closes. This last story comes from a guy named Alex. He worked as a janitor at a huge shopping mall in New Jersey. Fairview Mall, 3 stories. Over 150 stores. During the day, thousands of people shopped there. Families, teenagers, crowds everywhere. But at night, the mall was different. The stores closed. The shoppers left. And the cleaning crew came in. 12 janitors working from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m., sweeping, mopping, taking out trash, keeping everything clean. Alex had worked there for 2 years. He actually liked it. No crowds, no noise, just quiet, empty hallways. Him and his cleaning cart. He knew every store, every corner, every hallway. The mall was like his second home. But one Tuesday night in November, Alex got lost. Lost in a mall he knew by heart. And that's when he realized the mall changed at night. Changed into something else. The night started normal. Alex was assigned to the 3rd floor. He started at the food court, wiping tables, emptying trash, normal routine. He finished around 1 a.m. Then he moved to the main corridor. This was his favorite part. All the stores were dark. Metal security gates pulled down. But the mall lights stayed on. Everything had this weird, frozen feeling. Like time stopped. Alex was mopping the floor in front of a clothing store. Just pushing his mop back and forth. Then he looked up and saw something that didn't make sense at the end of the corridor. Where there should be a left turn toward the department store, there was a right turn instead. A hallway branching off to the right. Stared at it. That was wrong. He knew this floor. There was no right turn there, just left. Always left. But he could see it. A corridor going right. The lights were off down there. Just darkness. Alex pulled out his phone. Checked the mall directory map. According to the map, there was no hallway there. Just a wall. But Alex could clearly see it. Could walk into it. Curiosity won. He left his cart and walked toward the dark corridor. His footsteps sounded different here. Flat, dead, like the sound was being absorbed. He turned on his phone flashlight. The corridor looked exactly like the rest of the mall. Same tile floor. Same walls. Same storefronts with security gates. But the stores had names he didn't recognize. Meridian's Fashion, the Copper Clock, Bethany's Toy Emporium. None of these stores existed in Fairview Mall. Alex walked deeper. The corridor kept going, branching into more hallways, more stores. The mall was growing around him, expanding, becoming impossible. He turned around to go back, but the way he came was gone. Instead of the corridor leading back, there was just another wall of stores. Different stores. The layout had changed. Okay, Alex said out loud. This is really weird. He picked a direction and walked. The corridor went on and on. More stores. More branches. Everything looked the same. He tried following exit signs, but they led in circles. He kept passing the same stores over and over. He was trapped in an impossible mall. A mall that kept generating new hallways, always staying ahead of him. Alex started running. He had to find the real mall, had to get back. But every turn led to more of the same. Identical hallways, identical stores, endless dot. Then he saw people in the store windows, behind the security gates. A family, mom, dad, 2 kids. They looked frozen, like mannequins, but too detailed, too real. And then one of them moved. The father's head turned slowly. His eyes locked on Alex. His mouth opened in a silent scream. Then the mother moved. Then the kids, all turning, all screaming silently. Alex ran. Security gates started rattling all around him. Every store, people were inside them. Frozen people, and they were waking up. Turning to look at him, he rounded a corner and almost crashed into someone. A teenage boy in a Fairview Mall uniform. His name tag said Kevin, but Kevin was frozen too. Standing in the middle of the hallway, Kevin's eyes moved, tracked Alex. His mouth struggled to move. Finally, words came out, slow, strained. You have to get out. Before closing time, Alex gasped. The mall is already closed. Not this mall. This mall closes at 3 a.m. When it closes, you'll be here forever. Like us. Alex checked his phone. 2:47 a.m. 13 minutes. How do I get out? Alex shouted. Kevin slowly raised his arm, pointing. Food court. Find the original food court. The real one. That's the anchor. The way back. Alex ran. The corridors were getting darker. The lights flickering. Security gates opening. The frozen people coming out. Shuffling footsteps behind him, getting louder. Coming closer. To 51 a.m. 9 minutes. He found a food court, but it was wrong. Different restaurants. Brands he'd never heard of. This wasn't the real one. Alex screamed in frustration and kept running. 2:55 a.m. 5 minutes. The PA system crackled to life. A voice echoed through the mall. Cheerful. Wrong. Attention, shoppers. Fairview Mall will be closing in 5 minutes. Please make your final purchases and exit. Thank you for shopping. But the voice sounded off, uncanny, like a computer trying to sound human. Alex was crying now, running blindly. Then he saw it, the real food court. He recognized the subway, the Panda Express. This was it. 2:58 a.m. 2 minutes. He ran through the food court, heading for the escalators. Behind him, hundreds. The frozen people chasing him. All of them running now. He jumped on the escalator, down to the second floor, then down to the first. He could see the main entrance, the glass doors, the parking lot. 2:59 a.m. 1 minute. Alex hit the doors at full speed. They didn't open. They were chained, locked from the inside. Impossible. Fire code. He turned around. The frozen people reached the bottom of the escalators. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, marching toward him. Blank faces, empty eyes. 3 a.m. The mall went completely dark. Every light, everything. Alex closed his eyes. This was it. He was trapped forever. Then he heard a voice. His supervisor, Roberto. Alex, what are you doing? We've been looking everywhere for you. Alex opened his eyes. The lights were back on. He was lying on the floor by the entrance. The chains were gone, and there was nobody else there. No frozen people. No impossible hallways. Just Roberto and 2 other janitors, looking worried. Hit your head? Roberto asked, helping Alex up. Alex checked his phone. 1:47 a.m. He'd only been gone 47 minutes, but he'd experienced over an hour. Watched time count to 3 a.m., but that hadn't happened yet. That was still over an hour away. Or had it? Alex couldn't explain. He told Roberto he felt sick. Roberto let him go home. Alex never went back. Quit the next day by text. Didn't even get his last check, but he researched the mall later. Found old newspaper articles. When Fairview Mall first opened in 1987, there was a grand opening event. Huge celebration. Thousands of people came, but there was an accident. A stampede. A crowd surge. 14 people were crushed to death. The mall closed for a week. Reopened with new safety rules. The incident was settled quietly. Most people forgot, but every year, on the anniversary, the night cleaning crew reports weird things. Hallways that don't exist, stores not on any map, and people, frozen people, shoppers from another time, trapped in the moment they died, doomed to shop forever in a mall that never really opens, never really closes, just exists. Alex doesn't go to malls anymore. Orders everything online, and if he absolutely has to visit one, he leaves before dark, before closing time. Because after hours, malls become something else, something between. And if you get lost in those endless corridors, if you see stores you don't recognize, and people who don't move, run. Run fast and pray you make it out before 3 a.m., before closing time, before the mall keeps you forever. 5 stories, 5 real people, 5 nights that changed everything. Marcus at the gas station, serving invisible customers who don't know they're dead. Sarah at the hospital, answering calls from room 304 where patients never leave. David at the warehouse, discovering aisle 47 leads somewhere wrong. Jennifer in the office building, riding an elevator to floor 13 that shouldn't exist. And Alex at the mall, trapped in endless hallways, racing against a closing time that means forever. These people survived, barely, but they're different, now changed. They know the truth. The night shift isn't just a job, it's a risk. Because when the sun goes down and everyone else is sleeping, something else wakes up. So next time you see someone working late, the cashier at the 24-hour store, the security guard, the nurse, remember these stories. Remember, they're not really alone. Even when they think they are, something is always watching, always waiting, always hungry. Would you take the night shift? Could you handle what comes when the lights go down? Think hard before you answer. Because some jobs cost more than time. They cost something you can never get back. Your peace of mind, your sense of safety, your belief that the world makes sense. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Hit that like button, subscribe, share this with someone brave enough to listen. And if you have your own night shift story, leave it in the comments. But remember, once you share it, once you say it out loud, it becomes real again. Sweet dreams. And whatever you do, don't work the night shift.